All right, we'll get started. We'd like to welcome Jordan Spieth into the interview room here at the Genesis Scottish Open. Jordan, ahead of your second start here at the event after a tie for 10th last year, if we could just get an opening comment on your return to Scotland.
Yeah, I felt like it was really good prep for the Open Championship. I also really enjoyed this tournament last year. I thought we had the wind blowing significantly last year, all 4 days, including a tough final round where I had a chance to win. So certainly something about the golf course fit my eye, and just trying to pick up where I left off here. And I really enjoy coming to Scotland. I think the Scottish links or this country, it's one of my favorite places in the world to play golf. And you can't even count on two hands how many phenomenal golf courses there are. So there's 4 or 5 in a 5-mile radius here just in this part of the country. And so went out last night and played North Berwick, and just trying to have a lot of fun while we're in the middle of working.
And coming into the week, number 30 in the FedEx Cup, this is your first start since the U.S. Open. What are you looking to accomplish this week and as we head into the rest of the season?
I just get my feet back under me. I went through a good stretch of the season, and then I kind of paused and said there's a couple things I want to work on that I think I would have won, a few different events had I had this shot. So I went through some trial and error I looked at, call it a 6-week period, where I was doing some trial and error on some feels to develop a couple shots that I wish I had. And, had some mixed results, miscuts or top fives or, anywhere in between. So I felt like that was a good time to do that. I felt comfortable with the fact that I wouldn't necessarily have great results every week, and then go into this last 3-week stretch, rest some, and then build up what was probably the best of the feels and fine-tune it as best as I could. And you can just do more at home in a week than you can, a tournament week. So I didn't play a lot of golf, which I normally do. So in the past couple days, I've tried to do a lot of that, and certainly some playing condition shots that I got to knock a little bit of the rust off. But all in all, I'm excited about the plan that the last, call it 10 weeks has been. And I've got a really exciting stretch of golf coming up.
All right, we'll start over here on the right with Phil.
Jordan, can you tell us a little bit more about your experience of North Berwick, why you wanted to play it, and how much fun you had?
Yeah, 10 years ago I walked it when the Open was at Muirfield, and my brother and dad and friends, and I think Michael was playing. He's my friend too. They were all playing one of the evenings, and I didn't want to, Open week. I didn't want to go out and play another round. And I walked like the last 4 holes and thought they were just stunning. I mean, just really impressive holes. And I know the history of North Berwick, and I didn't play it last year. And so this year, when Cameron and my coach and his son were going to go out and play, and I thought I'd just go out there maybe with a few clubs and chip and putt and walk with them. And I ended up taking my bag and playing all 18 holes. Played the first few, and I was like, well, you can't really quit after 9 on links like you can in the States. So, and I know that the last, those last 5-6 holes are just incredible. And so I went out there and we were with Justin and his dad as well as Jordan Spieth over there. So it was just a fun evening to play golf. We don't really get a lot of fun random rounds places on the road, and that was one to take advantage of.
That was, what I was going to ask. Do you do anything like this anywhere else, or is it just when you come to?
No, I've never played 27 holes on a Tuesday of a tournament week. So, but I knew this morning would be 9 holes in the morning and plenty of time to rest. So, no, it's highly unlikely. After like a missed cut or something, if you're not traveling home, you look to maybe play somewhere different or cool on a Saturday or Sunday. But that would be it.
And any favorite holes from last night?
Take your pick. Yeah,
I've never played it, so
I think it's the 14th is a drivable with a wall going by it. Maybe it's the 13th, and then the 15th, 16th were pretty incredible.
John on the left.
That was you kind of led into it. I just wanted to wonder how long it took you to find the 16th green with your chip shots.
Once, but it was down the wrong side of the green, and then we were just messing around with some shots. We had some time to kill and nobody behind us. So, Yeah, it was fun. We hit, a 90-foot putt on the green. We hit some pitches, different clubs.
Any advice? Because I've been trying to hit that green my whole life. So.
I would say take out the Texas wedge.
Got one on the right over here.
It's obviously not the only course you played this week. You played Sunningdale the other day and then Lahinch last year. Is this becoming a bit of a tradition for you to go and play courses that you might not already normally get the chance to?
I think just the last 2 years coming over sooner. The event, JP McManus Pro-Am last year, that was, I thought playing Irish Links would be more fun than practice rounds on Adair since we were going to get to play Adair twice. And we were fortunate that he set us up to be able to make that happen. And then we were just planning this trip to London and thought it'd be probably a good idea to mix 1 day of golf and not take 5 days off right before you play 2 weeks. That's also unusual to take more than 1 day off before a couple-week stretch. So we were fortunate that we were able to get hosted out at Sunningdale, and that was just a treat. The only Parkland course I've played in the UK was Glen Eagles before Sunningdale, and that was it was just an unbelievable golf course. I'd love to see the other one as well. We played the old course, and it's as good as advertised.
Doug?
Jordan, we obviously have a lot going on the Live and the Synod hearing, which you unfortunately missed yesterday, playing North Berwick, apparently. Just curious what your thoughts are on where the tour is with this framework. Where do you think it's headed, and what part of it concerns you, if any?
I guess I'm not exactly sure because it seems like I just, you see reports, you hear things, then you see reports, and then some things have changed, and then other things have changed, and then there's disagreements on a couple items. If there's any disagreements, it won't work. And honestly, we're very much in the dark on it. So I don't sit on the board. I'm not on the pack either. So I'm not on the in. I think that it certainly, as you've talked to a lot of other players, it's been quite a shock from the get-go. And I wouldn't say that there's enough details to be able to really comment much on any concerns because, if you ask me about something specifically, I could say I saw that somewhere and I saw it somewhere else that it wasn't part of it. So I really don't know. I'm sure, I guess Jay's returning Monday, and I'm sure as he starts to speak with you guys, maybe things have gone further, and clearly I think we would have probably liked to see him at the Senate hearing if he was able to do so, just as a representative of the tour. But I don't know if there's anything that concerns me because I just hear if you name one factor of it, I've probably heard that yes and no on either side of just about every piece of it.
What kind of trust issues do you think Jay's going to have to navigate, given everything that's been said about players and player directors even left out of the dark in a member organization?
Yeah, quite a bit, just based on conversations I've had with players. And I think he realizes that. I'm sure he's preparing for maybe a plan to try and build it back.
We got one over here, and then we'll go to Sean and Martin.
Hi, Jordan. Can you just talk a bit more about the feels you were saying, what kind of shots you're trying to hit, and then what inspired those kind of wee tweaks?
Yeah, I would say Bay Hill, Tampa, another one I'm not thinking of, where I really had a good chance on Sunday, where I had a little too much throw and not enough lean to the shaft coming out of the top, creating a little bit less, more hands and less body and less easy way to play. And I would say that there were a couple T-balls at Bay Hill and then, a couple T-balls at Tampa. Oh, and what's that? Hilton Head. Where had I gotten things exactly where I want them, which I still haven't in 6 years. Seems crazy, right? Had that happened, then I think that I have no doubt that I would have been able to win 1 or 2 or 3 of those events. They're mechanical issues that caused the mistakes that I made, and so trying to do the good that I did those weeks, with developing also, an extra piece to allow for a little more consistency. And it's a crazy game. You can be doing the same thing 3 different ways on tempo and timing and where you feel it. And so just playing around a little with a few options of tempo, timing, and where I feel what I want to do is coming from. And what I did at Jack's event was really, really good. And I kind of went into the U.S. Open trying to do something a little different. And that didn't work very well, but it was close. And then, so kind of a combination of the bunch. And I feel like I can make swings that are essentially mapping my DNA at this point, especially on the range. And then I've transferred a number of them onto the golf course in the past few days. It's just getting more consistent with it.
Sean, and then Martin.
Jordan, you had your time as a player director on the board, and I was curious, given up all the upheaval, not knowing things, if you would have enjoyed being a player director right now, or if you're kind of thankful that you did.
COVID was enough for me. That was enough time in meetings. I feel involved more than I was on the board before COVID anyways right now. And so, no, I can't say that I am jealous of anybody on the board right now.
I think in general, PGA Tour players want to know everything. They work great with details. Is it weird not knowing much at all?
I don't necessarily think that's accurate. I think in your profession, if somebody was making decisions that was affecting you that you had no control over, and sure that happens in places, but you're not in a member-owned organization, nonprofit organization, I think that anybody in that situation would like to have maybe a little bit more communication prior to massive changes and decisions being done in principle.
Martin, you've gone from playing a traditional links course at North Berwick last night to a modern links here. Do you feel there's any significant difference in the tests?
I think that the traditional links have less, they're more raw, but have less craziness, less bounce dependence. They're more authentic. I prefer authentic links, like the older, what'd you call it? Sorry. Traditional links. I've also really enjoyed playing this golf course, but this, a bit like Royal St. George's, which is also pretty traditional, but you can hit some shots that end up in places where if you're, this far off, it could be, the width could be significantly different. So there's some bounce dependence, but we get 72 holes to play it, and if the ones who are playing the best end up in the best spot.
Just a follow-up, you've got an Open next week and another couple to come, but it's just been announced that it's going back to Birkdale. How excited are you about that?
Yeah, very. I think, Birkdale is a highly rated golf course, and also rated as one of the better Open venues, and it's had a lot of, I mentioned it, I think, at going into that week and after that week, that, the list of the winners at Birkdale are phenomenal, and I was blessed to join that list. So anytime you go back to a place where you have those kind of memories, it'd feel a bit like Augusta to me until a U.S. Open goes back to Chambers. So that's the only, similarities but that's different because we see it every year. So, next week, I played with Rory the first 2 rounds in 2014 and saw that wildly impressive display of golf. I played with Tiger for the first time in a major on Saturday. So I had some really cool experiences around there, and I know there's been some changes to the last couple holes, and I look forward to I remember some of the golf course and not all of it. I look forward to getting back out there. I know it's, one of the better, fair, and very cool Open venues to play with internal out of bounds and stuff, stuff that you want to see over here. Will be. I've heard it might be easy, it might be hard, it might be carnage. We'll see.
Got time for 2 more questions. We'll go to Bob and then Brian.
Jordan, I take it based on your relationship with AT&T and certainly being on the board, you would have known or had a relationship with Randall Stevenson. What did you make of his resignation the other day from the board?
Yeah, I've been very close with Randall for almost 10 years now. I think that it's a bummer because I think he's in 12 or 13 years he served on the board of the PGA Tour, and it's a voluntary board looking out for the players' best interest in the future of PGA Tour golf, and I think he did as much as anybody to help put that in the right place. And I think it's a huge asset that we've lost. At the same time, as he retired from AT&T, I know he's been looking to spend real retirement life and maybe do a little bit less other things. But I think his letter says how he feels and makes a lot of sense to me on where he's at regarding the entire situation. Yeah. I mean, if you can use him for advice, he sits on this board, or he sat on this board, so that's what he's there for. And I've used him at times for sure over the years and more recently.
And we'll finish up with Brian.
Thanks, Jordan. Yeah, just finally on the Senate hearing yesterday, a couple of things that was said yesterday that were quite jaw-dropping. One was the sheer numbers, the amount of money that's available to put in comparison with the PGA Tour, $700 billion, as opposed to assets of the PGA Tour about $3.5 billion. I think it was Jimmy Dunn that said there was a real fear that if they don't do something, PIF and LIV are going to overtake. How does that make you feel as a player that the tour that you play on and have played on is at threat?
Yeah, I don't. It's not a great feeling. I don't necessarily believe that just the differences in finances would create a threat to go through, to not look to just having options or at least communicating on why things would get done when they get done. I think, as I mentioned to you, it's a member-run organization, the voluntary board that's supposed to look out for the interests of the players in the PGA Tour going forward, and I don't believe that these decisions had to be made without involving, call it, the players on the board and other board members. But that's my opinion on the matter, and maybe there's a reason, and again, I just don't know. Otherwise, I could probably answer your question better.
All right, Jordan, thank you very much for your time.